Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be vibing out as per usual. And well, actually, I'm vibing out for an hour in Animal Crossing because I'm not going to be vibing out for the rest of the evening. In fact, you know, if it's your birthday coming up, you know, in theoretically in 2 days, I would stop watching. But again, I don't think there's any worry about that. I'm baking 2 cakes later today, which is going to be a bit of a nuisance, which is why I'm going to be a little bit busy this evening. You know, this is like the only time I have to record some Animal Crossing, because I need to record some Animal Crossing, bake some cakes, and then I promise us to play some games with some friends. So, you know, to get that all done, we're going to have to be speedy. Oh, and eat dinner and all that as well, but, you know, that was secondary. But anyway, hello everyone. Hello, Isabel. Right now on Fawnhallow at 6:05 PM on Friday, December 2nd, 2022. And you might be like, oh, do you not want to bake a cake or something? No, it's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake, in the infamous words of, what's that character's name? Like Stephanie or something from Lazy Town? I've never actually seen Lazy Town. And you might be like, that's pretty not on brand for you, you know? You just kind of assume that I've seen all the, like, children's shows and that sort of thing. Well, man, I talk about it, but no, okay? Look, I've only seen, like, 3. Actually, that's not true. Obviously, I saw more when I was younger. And that sort of thing, but you know, no, I don't really know much about Lazy Town. Like, the whole thing is about, like, I vaguely know what it's about. Like, it's about, I don't even know his name, but I feel like his name is like Captain Sporticus or something. Like, wants the entire town to be active, and then, like, he's got a young assistant who I think is called Stephanie with the pink hair. I don't actually know if that's her name. And they live in a town full of puppets, and they live like in active town or something. They want everyone to exercise, and there's like Robbie Rotten who wants people to not exercise, and I guess, or be unhealthy. I'm not really sure what his, like, sort of motivation is in the first place, but it's something along those lines. Excuse me. Yeah, which, you know, and honestly, I guess that's kind of a good thing. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, like, chastise that or anything. That's kind of a noble thing. You know, so, like, you know, we were meant to give medicine to someone. Who are we meant to give it to? Because we clearly did not give it to him. What was I gonna say? Oh, did I actually? Okay. I just saw there was a notification on my the Darling Discord server just being like, ooh, and I was like, oh, you know, that's probably because a video went up, and I don't even remember if I've done the thumbnails or the titles for most recent the next few videos. So I should probably just quickly have a look at that, lest you get a video uploaded which is titled like hashtag. Let's see. Oh, it's okay. I'm good till Friday, Saturday. I pre-recorded 1 episode of Animal Crossing, but I don't know when this one's going up, because it's probably tomorrow, and then I don't know what I'm doing on Sunday, to be honest, and we'll have to figure it out. But it's very possible that this next week we won't have many Happy in Paradise customizations. So, you know, look forward to, well, I guess the opposite of look forward to that. Be sad about that if you want, but, you know, such is life. Yeah, but, like, he wants people to be active or something in Lazy Town. Like, it's called Lazy. Well, okay, now I just thought about it. He probably lives in Lazy Town, right, instead of Sports Town. That probably makes a bit more sense. And he's trying to make them not be lazy, you know, kind of like, you know, Jamie Oliver trying to make, like, kids eat healthy or whatever in school lunches or something. How did that go? I legitimately don't know. Like, I've heard it's been rather controversial, you know, his whole trying to make kids have healthy school lunches or something. And I'm not qualified enough to talk about it, and I don't even know the impact. I don't even know if I felt the impact on it, to be perfectly honest. So, you know, I'll leave that discussion for someone else. But I think it's a noble cause for Mr. Spartacus to try and make people exercise and that sort of thing. Like, heavens no, like, the amount of exercise I do now compared to when I was a child is, you know, bad. I'll say significantly bad, because in school you have mandatory exercise. Like, it probably might be different in your country, but at least in the UK you have to have, like, at least an hour or something, or no, 2 hours or something of exercise, or recreational exercise or something activity per week for students. So, like, the curriculum has forced amounts of, like, things you have to be educated on. I know sports is, like, activity, like physical activity is one of them. I know the other one is also religious studies. Like, at least last time I recall that it needs to be part of a curriculum. I don't know if that's still is the case or if it's not, and I only know that but it's because at GCSE time, which is, you know, 15, 16ish age to us, is the first big exams you kind of do when you're in the UK. You get to choose at GCSEs and that sort of thing, and the standard thing is, well, I don't know what the standard is, but the standard in our school was to do 10, I think. But there was an option to do 11, and I, you know, me being the classic overachiever I was like, I'm going to do 11. But the thing is, you know, as I found out, because there's a school regulated amount of how much like religious studies like education you need in, I don't know if it's like a term or something, if you take an 11, if you take an 11th subject, one of your subjects has to be GCSE, because the time it would take out of doing religious studies, you would lose out. If you were to do it in 11th GCSE, it would replace your enrichment period, which is basically just like a free period. Yeah, there's like 2 free periods you do. Like you'd like miss that, and maybe like miss 1 PE session. Though I can't really remember off the top of my head. No, there's no way you didn't. No, isn't it? 2 lessons every single. Yeah, two lessons every single week for GCSEs. That sounds right. I mean, it's 4 for A levels. Yeah, so one of your classes had to be religious studies, and I was like, I don't want to do religious studies as a GCSE, so I didn't. And until that day, I rue that day that has been implemented, because that stopped me from doing graphic design as a GCSE, which I genuinely would have enjoyed. And because, as I say it all the time now, you know, obviously, you know, I was talking to someone else about this like recently, but like school is wasted on kids, you know, and that was obviously, you know, an exaggeration. It's not wasted on kids, but you know, you don't really appreciate like the things that you want to do, or you know what to do, I suppose, at the age you get the opportunities to do them. And of course, I took a oh, excuse me, I need to cough. Sorry, that was just an insuppressible tickle in my throat. But you know, what was I going to say? Presumably, you're wiser now as an adult, and you can look back at your childhood and your teenage life and be like, oh, if I'd done this, life would have been better, or etc., etc. Which, you know, I mean, you might be, it sounds kind of depressing, but I think it's a healthy, not a healthy thing, but it's like a sign of maturity to be able to look back on your past and say, hey, this is what I could have done better, but also, you know, you need to look back and be like, but that's the past. What matters now is the present and the future, and how I can change it now, or things you can do to like fix past mistakes, etc., rather than like ruminating and reminiscing on a past for a present which will never be. That's a sign of maturity. No, you don't get the sign of maturity just by looking at the past, because anyone can look at the past and sort of like rue things which should have happened or shouldn't have happened, you know. Of course, that's like a broad speaking, general blanket statement. So, you know, don't apply that to every situation. You know, don't apply anything I say to like any situation. Like, I don't know, but no, watch this video on mute. No, I'm joking. No, if you do that, you probably would not get much out of it in the first place. Which maybe if that's what you want, then fair enough. No, what I was going to say was, yeah, because certainly with the benefit of hindsight, I know I like graphic design and that sort of, well, and I like digital art and that sort of thing, and graphics, at least in our school, had a lot of to do with like graphic design, which I would have definitely found interesting. It had a lot to do with video editing, which, you know, I still like. It's just, these are things which made up my hobbies. It was like I could have just like taken I could have just done like the school course on it, but maybe, you know, in a different life, I did do the graphics GCSE, and I ended up and made me end up hating all the stuff I do now. So who knows? But yeah, basically, long and short of it is, I don't really know what long and short of it is, but basically, you know, as a child, you don't necessarily exactly know what you want to do. And anyway, I didn't want to do religious studies as my 11th GCSE, so I didn't get to. So instead, we just did an enrichment period, is what it was called, because there was enrichment lessons, which is a whole variety of things. Like every term being about 2.5 months-ish, I would say. We have 3 terms in our school year. We have like the autumn, no, but the winter, the spring, and the summer, which doesn't make sense because it's like autumn is a pretty big part of the thing, but whatever, that's wrapped up into winter. I don't know. Anyway, school terms, who cares? Yeah, and it changed every single term what we did. So in that enrichment, for one term it was religious studies, one term it was PSHE, which is things like social studies, I guess. So you learn things about like, you know, drugs and like I don't know, like mental health, like sex education, stuff like that. It's sort of like a general miscellaneous term. One term was like economics, because I remember we had to do this like thing. We had to do this. We had to basically budget out our life. We had to make an Excel spreadsheet to budget out our lives and figure out when we'd be able to pay off our student debt. And I remember like every group tried to do like a different situation and that sort of thing. And I just remember ours and like talking to our group, be like, why don't we do like a crazy high debt, like we went to like America or something to study, but also we were incredibly successful, so we got a huge amount, we got a huge salary incredibly quickly. And I remember what we did is I remember we said we had a 6-digit salary, like 100,000 a year, by the time we were like 25 or something, which is obviously absurd in most cases. Unless you're like an insane celebrity or you're like, I don't know, you trade cryptocurrencies or something. Obviously insane, but I remember us like telling our teacher about this, like, because we had to do a presentation on it and we had to explain why we chose these sort of salary things and what we did. And we were just like, okay, we wanted someone who had a huge amount of debt and also had a huge salary and like had high expenses, just to see, you know, how it translates or whatever. And I just remember us talking about it, being like, oh yeah, so we're like 27 now, we have 100,000 and our salary's been bumped up to 100,000. And the teacher just went, what? I mean, I can't remember how we justified it, but she was like, oh yeah, okay, why not? I think we just said something like, we wanted like a very like high, unrealistic because like everyone else did like very normal expectations of salaries. Or anyway, this person ended up paying her debt like reasonably quickly. I don't really remember, to be off the top of my head, but it probably still took him like a couple of decades, I'd imagine, because it's not like you put all your money into your debt repayments, but still, your student loan repayments. But I don't know, that memory just randomly came to mind. Anyway, that was one of them. And one week I remember we had home economics, which I don't know why it's called home economics when it should just be called like cookery class or something. Like, anyway, we made food basically, because it was a new thing in our school at the time. We got like these newly furnished like kitchens put in to our school, like next to our school building. So like younger classes could have cookery classes and that sort of thing, which is good in my opinion. I think that's great. You know, being able to teach these kids how like essential life skills from early on is a very important thing. So like, things like economics, taxes, salaries, etc., like jobs, should be something which is taught in school, as well as like cookery and things. And like, you know, they're highly underrated things, but you know, you kind of had to eat, you kind of had to make money to live in a certain degree. Or you had to get money, I suppose. Like, money kind of makes the world go round, in both a depressing and that's just how it is sort of way. So we certainly should be taught in schools. But anyway, it's outrageous because we never got those when we were younger. Because by the time the kitchens were built, we were in GCSE, which meant that everyone had chosen stuff. So the only times we could do it was during enrichment. We no longer had like the PSHE slot or whatever, where you could do like, I believe younger years actually had proper cookery classes and proper IT classes where we learned like programming and stuff, which is like, what? We didn't get to do that, but you know. Obviously, on one hand, it's easy to be outraged, but on the other hand, I'm like very happy for them. I've got like the education and curriculum has been up and uprise, I suppose, for the younger generation. I say younger generation, really, like 3 years younger than me, but still. But anyway, I remember we had one enrichment class to do with cooking where we had to bring stuff in and we had to make, one of them was a macaroni cheese. No, it was a baked pasta or macaroni cheese, I can't remember. I think it was a baked pasta now I think about it, where we could put whatever we want in it, and I did like tuna and broccoli. No, tuna and... No. Did I do... No. I can't remember. I did some vegetable and tuna baked pasta, and I paired up with a friend who, ironically, like, we weren't that close at the time. We just, like, shared classes. I was more friend with his friend. I was more of a friend with his friend, because, like, we had been on a school trip together. And I was with him at the time, and we, you know, we just sort of paired up, like, by happenstance, and, you know, now we're very good friends. Not because of that situation. I'm sure that was just like a catalyst. Like, we shared so many classes together that we ended up sitting together quite a lot. But anyway, I remember we did a cookery thing with him, and I did like some tuna pasta. He did like a chicken pasta or something. And I remember, I feel like he gave his chicken pasta, quite a decent amount of chicken pasta to me, because he was like, I don't like this, and I'm not going to eat it, so I guess you can have it. And I was like, okay, sure. I guess this will be my dinner or my lunch or something. Or like I ate it when I found it. I don't really remember off the top of my head. But it was something along those lines. And then another thing we had to make were cupcakes. No, muffins. Yeah, muffins, sorry. And you can put in whatever, like, you can make whatever muffins you wanted. I can't remember what he made off the top of my head, but I remember I made blueberry muffins with, like, tin blueberries and that sort of thing. And, like, the only memory I have is because with our home economics teacher, our cookery teacher, was, like, an ex-music, like, was a music teacher or something. And I like, had never spoken to her before. But like, I just remember like the only time I'd spoken to her was when I was trying to figure out how to put my cupcakes in the oven, because I remember like my friend, he put his in first, and the two trays, they were directly on top of each other, like not on top of each other, but like so super close to each other, like they're on the rack, one above, one underneath. And then I was just like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just like take that bottom rack out, and then like, you know, because he put it on top rack, and, you know, put it in a different location so I can actually put my cupcakes on. And then it couldn't go out. It was actually like it was like I pulled it out and it was like locked, like hooked into place on the rack. And I was like, what? I was like, how do these ovens work? And I remember asking my friend to be like, I don't know how these ovens work. And he was like, I don't know either. And so I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I try and squeeze it in that tiny gap, like, to get my cupcakes? And I was like, sat there pondering. And I remember she came over. She was just, you know, in a jokey way at the time. But of course, you know, younger me, when they're too proud and was offended to a certain degree. It was like, oh, you young students don't know anything or whatever. I mean, it was a half jokey way. Well, I mean, me and my adult perspective now, looking back, it was probably a joke, which just, you know, I mean, it's not like the greatest joke in the world, but it's a sort of joke where you give a light chuckle to, be like, haha, oops, silly me. And it turns out that I don't know why you care about this, because you don't, but the cupcake tray that his tray was on could actually come out. It was just the other one was locked into position, locked into that rank for some unfathomable reason. Anyway, I remember because at the time I was being like kind of annoyed and being like, okay, you know, I'm sorry that I couldn't figure out how the oven trays worked or something. But now I look back on it, I'd be like, who cares? Anyway, the only thing that really matters is that the cupcakes were good. And muffins. We weren't cupcakes, muffins. Well, I think they were good. I don't really remember them all too well, to be perfectly honest. But I do remember another one of my friends, she made like chili muffins. Or like that was her plan to. I have no idea why she did, or why she wanted to in the first place. But, you know, that's just who she is. But like, I just remember her talking about it, and I like thinking about it, being like, oh, I kind of want to do chili muffins. And I was like, yeah, you should do it. And I think I remember telling her, if you make them, I'll eat one. Because I was pretty overconfident with my spice tolerance. And even now, I'm like pretty, sorry, not overconfident, I am just confident, I suppose, full stop, in my spice tolerance. I'm very good at eating spicy food. Perhaps due to my taste buds of rock, and also the fact I've eaten a lot of spicy food as I was growing up. But yeah, she made them, and I remember like, I wasn't in her class. Oh, did I just sell? I hope I didn't sell the medicine. Please? Okay, nice. I wasn't in her class, but I remember another one of my friends was in her class as well, and they talked about like they tried the chili beforehand, like a little bit, and they were just like, it burns. It was so much, and then she was like, okay, I'm gonna put the entire thing in just for fun, just to make them the most chili, like as chili-esque as possible. And I remember she made them, and like I was like the first one to try them or whatever. Like she said, she had it like just before lunch, the lesson, and she saved them for me. And she's like, all right, here you go, dear darling, have one. And then I took a bite, and I was like, it's literally not spicy in the slightest. And she was like, what? And then, you know, you eat it, and it was basically the slightest tingle. I assume because there's so many things in there which sort of like cancel the acidity, not the acidity, the spicy nature of a chilies and chili powder in the first place, you know, because it's like milk and butter, I suppose, and the muffins or whatever, but it ends up basically neutralising the entire thing and sort of mellows out the entire chili flavour. And basically, the long and short of it, they were actually quite delicious. It was sort of like a zingy muffin. Muffin. So yeah, I don't know what what on earth this entire episode's been about, but I guess enrichment is what I'll call it, because that's what it was called in our school. I can't remember if we had any other enrichment like lessons or whatever, but those are ones that stick in my head. So there you go, more anecdotes from Dear Darling's life. But for now, I'm going to round up this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscriptions, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we can see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.